have to set yourself goals and deadlines and know where you're going. Because if you don't know where you're going, you're just going to...
And that was
you get a scattergun approach, and maybe you'll end up where you want to be, and maybe you won't. And I've had it as well. It's not just when you have a business that you don't enjoy, but it's also you have a business that you do enjoy, but it's not giving you the results. And what happens is that then you keep going, oh, well, maybe next month will be better, and next month will be better, and oh, maybe in the future. And you keep holding on to something because it's your baby. And I've had that recently. I had a catering business through COVID. So I started it in COVID. And after 3 years, I was kind of still holding on to it because the business had kind of drastically reduced because we came out of COVID, everyone went back to work. I was kind of holding on to it. But there came a point in time where it was like, no, why am I holding on to this? You know, it's not doing anything. It's not serving me. It needs to go. And sometimes that is one of the hardest things to do because you're cutting off something that you believe in. But actually what you're doing is you're not putting the focus into that business and you're not growing it as maybe you would have liked or you wanted to. And so you have to cut the ties.
So it's almost that external feedback, isn't it? If you're not getting what you wanted from that business, you know, maybe it's a good time to have a thorough look. And I can really relate to that. You know, like myself as an entrepreneur, I've set up a number of different like ventures or startups and had to cut them. And it was painful, like you said, because you invested so much. You think I've got the brand, I've got customers, I've got testimonials, I've got website, I've got all this. And I spent so much of my time and nights, you know, creating all this. But at the end of the day, I think, yeah, you have to be honest with yourself and just take the plunge. And I guess also actually those experiences led me to become exit ready coach because it's made me realize if you're not exit ready, you just walk away from a business. Whereas actually, if you can monetize it, why not? You just monetize it, exit and go and do something else.
Absolutely. It's always, when you're starting up businesses, you need to have the end in mind. It's why am I starting this business? What do I want it to look like? Where's it going? You know, am I going to keep it forever? Or is there going to be a point in time where I'm going to get out? Okay, when I get out, what's it going to look like? And, you know, who am I going to give it to? And you know, who's going to buy it and those kind of things. We need to be looking at these things because people don't.
Absolutely. So tell me more. So you said those 2 years, right? So they passed. Then what happened?
So after that, I went into the recruitment and I was helping them out. But in the background, there was something sinister that was going on. And it culminated in 2010. I ended up on a fraud trial in Birmingham that was related to the mobile phones that we were transporting from the logistics business. So HMRC decided that I was involved in the fraud that was going on within the warehouse, and they just tagged me onto a trial with some fraudsters that had used my warehouse. And in 2010, I had a 6-month trial. So you can imagine I was going up. So I'm in London and I'm going up to Birmingham every week, had to stay over up in Birmingham, do the trial and then come back home. So I did that at the weekend. So I did that for 6 months.
Can I just ask you a question? Because, you know, like you said, fraudsters use your warehouse. Can you give us a bit of more background what happened and how have you actually were aware this was happening or you literally just receive a letter and like, what the heck is going on? Tell me more about that specific thing.
Back then, I mean, these kind of frauds are still going on these days as well. So it's all about importing and exporting goods. Mm-hmm. So you'll get the fraudsters that import goods. They go through a series of events, buy and sell, and then the final person will then export them out of the country. So the exporter can reclaim their VAT. And at the point of import, you're supposed to pay VAT on the goods, but they didn't. So they hid the companies and they call them missing traders because they're missing from the chain. That's what happened. So there was the guys that were in question that were on trial. This is what they did. They imported the goods through a company. The company wasn't showing anywhere, but didn't pay the VAT. And
so
that's how they
targeted your company specifically to commit, like, is that the common theme, like, that goes out there, they target companies to commit those kind of financial frauds?
Yeah, it's very common as well. It still happens to this day with various things. So from my point of view, when I see the paperwork, there isn't a missing trader. So if you imagine A sells to B, sells to C, if you imagine B is the missing trader, so when I see the paperwork, A sells to C, so B doesn't even show anywhere. So from my point of view, I don't know that there's a missing trader because it's missing. Even from me, it's missing. And also, we had to jump through hoops with HMRC as well. We had to do so many different things, and that's one of the reasons why I thought we were running as best as we could, because we're jumping through all the hoops with HMRC. They're coming into the warehouse regularly. They were even taking stock away to make sure it's real and all those kind of things. Nothing negative ever came back. So, my hands were tied. I was doing what they wanted. And I once asked them, okay, what more should I be doing? And their response was, well, you just carry on doing what you're doing.
So even at that moment, you already had encounter with HMRC and were, like, I guess, engaged with them, like you said, seeking feedback. And they said, keep doing, everything is fine in your business. So you were completely not aware that something is happening. And then you receive a letter saying that there is an invitation to tribunal.
So I left the business. They arrested me. They couldn't find me, first of all, because I was in a meeting in Chesterfield. So I was a long way away. But they came and they raided my house, searched my house.
So unexpectedly, you didn't know that?
Didn't know.
So literally just one day, knock on the door, police, raiding your house, doing the search.
Yeah, it wasn't the police, it was HMRC. But yeah, so they raided my house. I wasn't there. So then they went round all my rented properties, knocking on the doors, looking for me, because they couldn't find me, because they thought I was a flight risk and I'd gone and all this kind of stuff. Couldn't be further from the truth. I was just in a meeting and not at home. But yeah, they arrested me, and then they arrested me in 2006. I had a phone call, or I phoned them actually, because someone else told me they were looking for me. And so we arranged to meet at the police station and all this kind of stuff. So it was all done